Hey Unpluggers, welcome back to another video, back on the journey again. I was just thinking the other day that sometimes it's crucial to pause and to look back on our tracks and to recognize some of the patterns of our past. You know, in this case I'm talking about alcohol habits and those patterns, you know, how they can quickly develop and how they can reach heights. They can really get deep inside of you, and they can do this in a relatively short space of time. But this same logic can be applied to any habit, of course, right? So, one of the challenges of doing this is that all the patterns can only be seen in hindsight, right? You can't see a pattern going forwards unless you've got something before you that you can recognize as a pattern that you can sort of apply to foresight, right? So you can only see these things in hindsight, really, looking backwards at what you've already done. And another challenge of seeing patterns is that you can't identify a pattern until there's been multiple instances of the same behavior, of the same thinking. You know, sometimes these things happen over years before you can actually see it, before you've got the knowledge to be able to see it. That's a problem, huh? And the other significant challenge is proximity. You know, if you're too close to the thinking or too close to the behavior, if you're in the middle of the habit, it's very difficult to sometimes grasp the bigger picture. And it's only when you step outside of that, you're taking strides towards becoming unplugged, for instance, that you can start deciphering the patterns of what has happened. It's an interesting concept, no? You know, life is like that. You just don't see things until you're looking backwards. Hindsight is 20/20. You can do a lot when you're looking back. The problem is, it's when you have the hindsight, but you don't do anything about it, or you don't bother looking backwards, you know. And I've been guilty of that so many times in my life. So let me give you an example from my own life, right? From my own way of drinking, thinking, I suppose, that I didn't really see until I stopped drinking, you know. It was how I was using alcohol as a form of self-medication, right? And I say only a form because I didn't take painkillers. I hated taking any kind of medication. I thought to myself, I'm not putting that crap inside my body. But at the same time, I drank alcohol and I smoked, right? You know, talk about deluding yourself. You know, deluding yourself is easy. You're the deluder and you're the deluded. So it's a lot easier to do that than to face up to the truth, right? Because you know which buttons you're going to press. So I used alcohol to try to medicate away my early shyness, my lack of social skills when I was young, when I was in my late teens and early 20s, when I used alcohol as the one-hit wonder for socializing, relaxation, and then for emotional support, and then for escaping from everything that I wanted to escape in life, everything that made me feel uncomfortable. You know, I drank when I wanted to feel happy. I drank when I wanted to stop feeling sad. That was one of the main things, I think, you know, because happiness disappears after a while. I drank to feel sorry for myself, which is a weird thing to say, but it's true. You know, I held myself up to this high standard, right? A standard. High standard, yeah. I mean, these are things that I learned when I was a kid. What I thought it was to be a man. And there's nothing wrong with a lot of those things, right? I'd always thought that you protect those who are weaker than you, right? You protect your family, right? You work hard for yourself and your family. You have strong ethics, you know, when it comes to standing up straight, taking it on the chin, right? But these things are a huge part of being stuck in that plugged in way of thinking. You know, they can elevate that, they can make that thing, make it so that you're stuck harder, right? Never showing weakness, you know, being able to drink and smoke, being able to take it on the chin, right? You know, not showing pain, you know, being able to take the alcohol, being able to smoke a lot, being able to drink a lot. You know, that kind of thing is part of the escape from reality that I found in alcohol, that was partially to hide from the problems that alcohol itself was causing. You know, another big part was to be able to put myself into a state where I could feel sorry for myself, almost like a toxic delving into what Carl Jung calls the shadow self, that part of you that you try to hide from everyone. When I was drunk, I didn't care what side of me came out, it reduced those inhibitions, so I didn't give a fuck about any of that stuff, right? I welcomed that kind of dark side of myself in the moment, like I said, but it's no real escape, because what you escape into is a worse version of yourself. It's a pathetic version. That's the way I look at it. It was a pathetic version of myself. And you've got to come back into that life where the problems that you're trying to escape from, those problems that alcohol are causing, because you were drinking alcohol, they've got a little bit worse, where you are a person and you're a little bit worse off because you were using alcohol and because of what that says about you. It is what it is. So there are many sides to the alcohol self-medication, right? And none of them are good. They're all missing, I think, the point of life, in the attempt to sidestep or shortcut the process of learning how to deal with yourself. Me going back and learning how to deal with all of those things in my life, the shyness, learning how to relax without alcohol, learning how to socialize, how to talk to people, You're really cheating yourself out of some of the most profound experiences that you'll ever have. And it's only when you, like I said, step outside of that, what you've been doing, that you really see it. Now, I've become unplugged. That's the way I call it now. I prefer to say, I've unplugged not only from the alcohol, but from that way of thinking, and I can see this. I can see, again, it's only in hindsight, but all those mistakes I made, but I can also see that, in order to move forwards, in order to get to the best possible version of myself, I have to take full responsibility for those things. I did those things. I thought that way, I drank that way. Every drop of poison that I put past my lips. When I feel a pain in my stomach or a pain in my side, I know that there's damage there, right? I understand that now. I can point a finger only to myself and say, I did that. I caused that damage. But I also take full responsibility for everything that's happened since. I take responsibility for all the decisions that I made that were right in my life, right? As well as the wrong ones. It's important that you do that. But life is going to be full of wrong decisions. Whether you use alcohol or you don't use alcohol. It's just the fact of life. The difference is always in how you respond to a problem or a mistake or a wrong decision. And alcohol is never a good response. You'll never regret the drink that you didn't have yesterday. That's a point that we keep coming back to. Looking back is great. Looking ahead is much better, I think. Living life with eyes wide open and cherishing the freedom of not needing to escape from life, not needing to escape into a toxic delusion in order to what? To find what? To find nothing. And that's the unplugged way, my friends, right? Keep the alcohol out of your mouth, keep walking this path one step at a time, and remember, onwards and upwards until our next step. Stay unplugged. Take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you soon. Onwards and upwards. Bye now.